Trump Game here. Welcome to another episode coming at you from ChooseYourRelationships.com off of Love Can't Wait, which you can find at Amazon.com. And today I'm going to talk about the top 7 most African American friendly countries that you should visit or even move. It's really up to you. It's on you. And before I get into that, I have to say this. You know, there's this perception that it's really a lie, really, that if you go to other countries, it's dangerous and it's not safe, and you know, you're putting your life at risk, and you know, there's a lot of things being told in America, right? But this is what they do. They'll promote the places that they want you to go for tourism, right? But the places that they don't want you to go, those are the places that they tell you is very dangerous. You're putting your life at risk. I learned this through traveling, through meeting other people. And one thing else I have to say is that when I go visit other countries, I never felt one time, not even a second, scared. I never felt fear, not one time. I'm telling you, and I've been in some bad neighborhoods and good neighborhoods in other countries. I never felt like my life was in jeopardy, not 1 second. Think about that. Now, I'm ex-military. I mean, I've traveled around the world. I've been to probably every country you probably can name of. And now when I come back to America, I've felt fear for my life a couple of times. There's some places in America I'm never going to visit. I'm never going to West Virginia, Vermont, South Dakota, North Dakota, Iowa, Alabama, Mississippi. There's some parts of Texas I'm never going to go and visit. There's some parts of the Midwest, a lot of states in the Midwest, I'm never going to visit there. I'm never going to go to some place like Oregon. I'm never going to go to some place like Maine, New Hampshire. Some cities I would never visit. I'm never going to visit Boston. And you want to know why? It's because people have told me not to. Whites and blacks have told me don't go there. And mainly because they're from there and they have family that's from there. So they know how these areas are. And let's just be honest, certain areas and certain places and certain cities is just not for everybody. We just have to be practical. We got to be real about that. And there's a lot of things that comes into play when it comes to that. You know, you have to worry about cops. You have to worry about haters. You have to worry about all kinds of bullshit. You don't necessarily have to worry about it. You just have to be aware of it. But when I go to other countries, I never have to even think about a lot of the bullshit. I don't have to worry about being harassed by a cop or being shot or any of that shit. Well, there's a perception that if you go to another country, that somehow your life is going to be in danger, and this is and America is the safest country in the world. Bullshit. America is the most racist and the most violent country in the world. Look, we got people that's being slaughtered every day in the streets. Right? They sell guns in Walmart and at gun stores 7 days a week in most places in America. Other countries, they don't do that. They don't sell guns in other countries like they do in America. They don't have prescription drugs like they do in America and other countries. Do they have drugs? Yeah, of course they got drugs, but it's not like in America. America, they got everything. In America, they have 90%, over 90% of the hard drugs are in America. When I say hard drugs, I'm talking cocaine, crack, heroin, meth, hard drugs like that. 90% of the hard drugs are here in America. They ship it from other countries to America. So with that being said, one of my favorite places to visit is Thailand. Thailand's cool, man. The thing I like about Thailand, well, first of all, it's hot. God damn. I mean, if you can't take the heat, don't go. But what I would say is the cost of living is cheap, and you can live the same as you would in America for very cheap. But the only thing is, like I said, a lot of these other countries, they're not up on technology like America. And there's a reason for that, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But they don't have Wi-Fi everywhere. You can buy technology everywhere, but as far as technology and electronics, whatever you want, you can get it in Thailand. But you might have to pay a little extra money for like internet connection or some type of Wi-Fi. But people are pretty cool, you know, pretty laid back. You know, everyone just want to have a good time or whatever. And weather's always hot. As a matter of fact, I know a couple of guys that retired out of the military and they live in Thailand. And they're not ever coming back to America. I know one guy, he bought a house in Thailand. So he travels back and forth between Japan, Thailand, America. So he's been doing that for the past, 5 years? And plus, if you're an ambitious person, or you're like you've got hustle in your veins, you can make a lot of money in Thailand. You can invest, and you don't have to put. It doesn't take a lot of money to invest over there because the cost of living is it doesn't cost that much. You can get more bang for the buck with the American dollar. So the U.S. currency is very strong in Thailand. Now, Japan is another place that I like. But there's pros and cons when it comes to Japan. Now, the number one thing with Japan is it's one of the highest places to live that I've visited. And but the other side of it, socially, is people are pretty cool. You know, if you got a little, you know, if you're an ambitious person, hustle in your veins, you know, you can meet some pretty cool people, the right people, and you can invest and get in and do some shit. You know, you can do some fly shit. But Japan, or any of these countries really, most of these countries I would say aren't that you have to have an entrepreneur spirit. You can't go to these places with the job mentality. That's what I would say about Thailand and Japan. And for the most part, Japanese people, if you're from America and if you're black male, a lot of the women usually warm up to you. You know, if you're a white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes, oh, the world is your oyster. You know, but for the most part, the women are super cool, especially if they really like you. If they really like you, oh, you set, you're good to go. You know, because what happens after that, if she really likes you, she'll introduce you to other people. She'll support you whatever endeavor or whatever you're trying to do. You know, that's how that works. But if she doesn't like you, nah, it's not gonna really go too far. Plus, being in Japan, you can kind of be a little. You have a little. It's a lot of things are acceptable in Japan, or I guess you could say tolerated more so than being in America, because you know Japan is just a white European colony. That's all it is. You know, it's a lot like it's similar to being in America. The only difference is the cost of living is expensive everywhere. It's expensive everywhere you go. You can't really get away from the high prices, and everything is small. Everything is pretty much everything is small. If you want more space, you're gonna have to pay for it. And the things that you need, it's not out of price. But the thing that you want, you're gonna have to pay extra. For example, if you want a car, if you want internet access, if you want Netflix, cable television, you're gonna have to pay for that extra. But if you like water and food and electricity, and that stuff is not gonna cost that much. But when it comes to like clothes, especially like Nikes and Jordans and especially if you wear a size over 10, say if you wear a size 11 or 12, yeah, you're gonna have to pay extra. That's the thing. So those are the cons of living in Japan. Everything is small, because most Japanese people are short, and if you're tall like me, say you 6'2", you wear size 12, you're gonna have to pay extra. You're gonna have to pay on average probably $200 for your shoes or your sneakers. That's how it is over there, and things are very expensive. So if you're gonna live in Japan, you're gonna have to be making a lot of money. You're gonna have to have a lot of money coming in from somewhere. So then we got Dubai, right? Now Dubai is expensive too. It's hot and humid year round. Beautiful people. You got the beaches, you got the high rises, you got, it's desert heat out there. I'm talking, it's like hot and humid day and night. So it's mostly Muslims. So the food is good, of course. It's a little bit of everybody over there. It's like a melting pot of people in Dubai. People live from all over the world. It's a lot of people. If you go over there, you're gonna meet some people that's from America. A lot of people have jobs over there. A lot of people from all over the place. A lot of people from the islands. People from all over the continent of Africa. There. Cost of living is very expensive. You're gonna have to be damn near. You have to be making 6 figures over there to really live a decent life. You have to make at least 6 figures, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're probably gonna be struggling. But it's a nice place to live. Hot. It's not a place for entertainment though. That's probably why most people wouldn't like it. If you want to be entertained all the time, Dubai is not the place. If you are past a lot of entertainment, Dubai is cool. You like it because it's like, they live in lavish over there. They live lavish. They live like, everything is gold is everywhere. Oil is everywhere. And they got some of the best hotels in the world. Probably have the best hotels in the world. In my opinion, they do. But so they live in lavish in Dubai. So you gotta be raking in the dough if you're gonna live over there. Beautiful women. A lot of them are Muslims. Of course, a lot of them. I mean, if they meet you, if you're from America, especially if you're black, they'll warm up to you. They don't really have anything against us. A lot of them probably won't care much for us, but at the same time, they won't have nothing against us. They won't give you a hard time or nothing like that. At least that's been my experience. A lot of them, they be like, "Oh, you're from America, okay. Oh, nice meeting you, whatever." But they're not really into. What I would say, what did surprise me, is they're not fond of Caucasians. That's what I would say. That kind of surprised me because when I went to Japan, Japanese people put white people on the pedestal, but in Dubai they don't put white people on the pedestal at all. So that kind of surprised me when I first went there. So next you got PI, the Philippines. Now the Philippines is wild, man. The Philippines is wild, but again, the cost of living is cheap. The women, the Filipinas, the women, they love black guys for whatever reason. I don't know. I think this goes way back in history or whatever. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of women from the Philippines that live in America. And if you see them, jump on them, approach them, and you can be aggressive with them because they warm up the black guys, you know. So a lot of these women are pretty cool. A lot of the guys that's from PI, they kind of so. You got to really feel them out. They're a little so or whatever. But in the Philippines, is a poor country. I must say that. And but the cost of living is cheap. You can live like a king on a budget. It reminds me of PI. I'm sorry. It reminds me of Thailand because the cost of living is cheap, but you can still live good. You can live lavish for cheap. The people are cool. The women are cool. If you get to know the right people, you can live a good life over there, man. Plus you can invest your money and you can do your thing in PI. And then we got Australia. Now Australia, it's like two sides. It's like two sides of Australia that I like. I like Perth and I like Sydney. Now, Sydney, I don't really like Sydney that much. Sydney is too much of a tourist town for me. But what I would say is it's very expensive in Australia. It's very expensive, especially if you're in the big cities like Perth and Sydney. I think Perth is a little cheaper than Sydney. I could be wrong about that, but I think Perth is a little cheaper based on just going shopping and buying shit, But one thing I can say is Australian people are pretty cool. You can find whatever you want. You got some dark Australians, you got some light ones. And then you got the original people, Aborigines people. They're there too. So you pretty much you get what you pay for in Australia. Just depends on where you want to live. You want to live in a small town or you want to live in a city. Australia is kind of like living in America, but they have a different vibe. And the weather changes too. That's another thing with the weather there. When it's cold in America, it's hot there. And when it's cold in Australia, it's hot in America. So, and plus that's a different time change as well. I think it's like a 12-hour time. 12, well, maybe 12 to 14-hour time difference, if I'm not mistaken. And the women are cool. Just like I said, people are cool. But sometimes you might have to check some people every once in a while because they're a little rude. Sometimes they say things and they act like it's cool to say it. So sometimes you might have to check somebody from time to time. Might have to tell them, hey, you can't say that shit. What's wrong with you? So you might have to check a guy or girl every once in a while. But besides that, there's a lot of black people that's from that live down there that's from America. Yeah, and from all over America. I met people that was from LA, from South Carolina, New York, people that's ex-military. They live in Australia. They've been down there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years that I met. So Australia is pretty cool. And Singapore. Now Singapore is like a little island, but it's kind of like living in America, cause you got people from everywhere that like living in the United States of America. It's about last I checked, it's about 8 million people that live there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But it's like 8 million people, last I checked. And it's people from everywhere, man, that live there. And they promote Singapore, and they want people to come there from all over the world. And you can easily get a visa there too. They won't give you a hard time at all. You just have to have a reason for being there. You know, are you there for a job, or did you get married to someone from there, or you're there for college, or something like that. Just like coming to America, you just have to have a good reason to be there. And they want people. They actually seek out. They promote the shit out of Singapore. They actually want people to move there. They want the people to come there. So they don't give you a hard time. And plus, the fees is not as much as it is to come to America. And the women are pretty cool there. It's like a melting pot of a little bit of everything. But it's very clean in Singapore too. That's another thing. The sidewalk is like brand new, and it's been that way for 20, 30 years. So, you know, you can't litter, and oh yeah, another thing. It's very strict there. You can't litter, you can't spit, you can't throw nothing on the ground. You can't do any of that shit over there. You will go to jail if you get caught. So they're very strict, you know. And that's another thing. A lot of these countries that I just named, all these countries are very strict, except for PI in Thailand. They're not really strict at all. Pretty much anything goes in Thailand and PI. But Japan, Dubai, Australia, Singapore, they're very strict. They have very strict rules. And you got to stay out of trouble in these countries, because if you get into trouble in these countries, you're going to find out real quick that, you know, they don't play around in these other countries. They don't follow no status quo. They're not like living in America. In America, you know, they'll cut you breaks, and they cut a lot of people breaks in America, and they'll give people passes and pretty much let them go through the system and pay their way out. Then they're walking on. Then a couple weeks later, they're walking on the street and with no consequences. No, it's not like that in these other countries. No, not at all. You know, so you got to be aware that outside of America, there's no status quo. Just keep that in mind. So Singapore is pretty cool. It's a nice place. You can live a good life in Singapore. You know, they have all the latest technologies. Anything you want, you can pretty much get. You can order things from other countries. They do trade with other countries. So pretty much it's open season in Singapore. You can do whatever you want, when you want, how you want, live where you want. You get what you pay for, pretty much. And then you got Brazil. Now, Brazil, I've been to my goodness, Rio, right? So I can't speak for the rest of Brazil, because, you know, it's a big ass country. I didn't realize how big it was. So what I would say is Brazil got some of the beautifulest women I've ever seen in my life, right? Even some of the women that Brazilian women I went in Japan and in America. These women are super cool. Now, what I would say is a lot of them they got a little street smart in them. They got a little game now. So what you have to do is sometimes you gotta man up. Sometimes you gotta have a backbone. You gotta say, hey, I had to tell like two of them at one point, because I almost got married to a Brazilian woman in Japan, but I kind of called it off because I thought about it for a second, 5 minutes, but my whole plan was never to get married while being in the Navy, right? But she was a beautiful girl, and we were having such a good time. But at the same time, I was like, I can't get married while I'm in the Navy. So what happens is, I let her go. Basically, I just let her go. But it was cool in the game. That shit that comes with the territory, But a lot of Brazilian women they got that game in them. That because you have to understand where they're from. That's how they survive. Most of them, right? So I understand. I get it. But sometimes you got to tell them, hey, we ain't gonna do that here. You don't have to do that. I want you to win. We got to get on the same page. So you got to approach them like that. Cause if y'all on the same page, y'all can do some fly shit together, right? But if y'all not on the same page, it ain't gonna work out. But you can live a good life in Brazil. A lot of brothers live in Brazil, and they've been down there forever. They work jobs and own businesses and all kinds of shit. And a lot of I think a couple years ago they did a little special on TV. I think it was 60 Minutes, if I'm not mistaken, or 2020. One of them shows they did a little special interviewing a lot of the brothers that's in Brazil, asking them why they left America and why they still in Brazil and why they're not coming back, and on and on and on. But Brazil is pretty cool. You can work a job if you want. You can have a business if you want. The women are cool as hell. You don't necessarily have to speak Portuguese, but I think it would be a good idea to at least understand a little bit of it. I mean, just enough that you can get by, at least. But a lot of people speak English down there as well. And women are beautiful. The guys are cool for the most part. They got nice beaches. The hotels is cool where we stayed at. You pretty much get what you pay for. Really. The price is not too outlandish, but you get what you pay for. The resorts is beautiful, but I can only speak for Rio. I've never been anywhere else. I mean, I've been around the surrounding areas or whatever. But that's all I can say. But what I would say is I've never felt like I was in danger one time when I was in these other countries. Not one time. But when I come back to America, I do feel unsafe at times. When I go to certain areas, cities, towns, some states, like I said, I'm not ever going to go. I mean, it's sad but true. And then they wonder why people are leaving America or want to leave America. Give me a break, man. So if you like what you heard, check out my blog, chooseyourrelationships.com. Subscribe to my channel. Until next time, Sharp Game is out. Peace.